Did you know that the state of your home can directly influence your prosperity and well-being? Cleaning is not just about keeping a tidy space, but about creating an environment that attracts good energy, success, and abundance. However, in our day-to-day lives, we make cleaning mistakes that, although small, may be blocking the arrival of new opportunities and affecting our luck. In this video, you will discover the 10 most common cleaning mistakes that, according to Buddhist teachings, may be attracting poverty and bad luck into your life. Join us on this journey of self-discovery and transformation, and learn how to change these habits to turn your home into a true magnet for prosperity. Don't miss it. Mistake #1. Neglecting the corners and edges. The corners of your home are like the corners of your heart. They hold on to things we tend to avoid: dust, forgotten memories, unresolved issues. What gathers in these corners doesn't just disappear, it hides. And although we may not see it, its energy lingers, blocking the flow of well-being in our lives. Let me share a story with you. There was a woman named Teresa, a hard-working soul whose days were filled with tasks, responsibilities, and caring for her family. No matter how hard she worked, it seemed like there was always something slipping through her grasp. Money was never enough, opportunities never came, and a constant sense of exhaustion followed her wherever she went. One day Teresa visited an elderly woman known for her wisdom. The woman said, "Teresa, prosperity cannot enter a home if the corners are dirty." Teresa was confused. What could a bit of dust in the corners possibly have to do with her bad luck? The elderly woman smiled gently and explained, "The corners of your home reflect the corners of your soul. That's where you hide what you don't want to see or clean. Every time you clean a corner, you're freeing a part of yourself." That night, despite her skepticism, Teresa decided to clean the corners she had long ignored. She moved furniture, vacuumed behind doors, swept the forgotten spaces. As she cleaned, she realized something profound. She wasn't just removing dust, she was also clearing out the emotions and thoughts she had been unknowingly holding on to. She felt lighter, as though by clearing the physical space, she was also clearing her mind and heart. Soon, unexpected changes began to happen. Her husband received a job offer, solutions appeared to problems that had felt stuck, and Teresa herself experienced a peace she hadn't felt in ages. Dear friend, cleaning the corners is not just about tidying up your home, it's a ritual of renewal. Each time you clean a corner, you create space for energy to flow freely, just like the breeze that enters through an open window. It may seem like a small task, but it holds immense power. Just as you can't move forward in life if you carry resentment or unresolved issues, your home cannot be a place of abundance if its corners are filled with neglect. Keep your corners clear and watch how opportunities begin to flow naturally, like a stream finding its path between rocks. I invite you to take a moment, once you finish watching this video, to check the corners of your home. Think of it as a symbolic gesture. As you clean, release what you no longer need and allow the energy to renew. You're not just dusting, you're lifting an invisible weight that unknowingly may have been blocking your path to abundance. Mistake #2. Leaving dirty dishes or an unclean kitchen overnight. The kitchen is not just a place where food is prepared, it's the beating heart of your home, the space where the simple is transformed into sustenance. In every dish, in every pot that boils, you're not just cooking food, you're cooking the energy that nourishes your life and spirit. Let me share an ancient story about a Buddhist monk and a lesson that left a mark on those who knew him. Long ago, in a remote monastery, there lived a young apprentice named Tenzin. Although he was diligent in his practice, there was one thing he always put off: cleaning. Every night after dinner, Tenzin would leave the dirty utensils in the kitchen, thinking he would clean them the next day. "It's just one dirty pot," he would tell himself. The abbot, an elderly wise man known for his deep teachings, watched in silence. One night, when everyone was asleep, the abbot went to the kitchen. There he saw the stacked plates, the stove with food remnants, and a heavy atmosphere in the space. The next day, the abbot asked Tenzin to accompany him to the nearby market. On the way, the young man noticed that the abbot had brought the dirty pot along with him. Curious, Tenzin asked, "Master, why are we bringing the dirty pot to the market?" The abbot smiled and replied, "What we leave unclean always follows us, even when we try to move forward. Every dirty pot is an unfinished matter we drag with us." Tenzin, feeling a mix of shame and understanding, realized the lesson. That pot wasn't just an object. It represented laziness, lack of gratitude, and the accumulation of small actions that, if not dealt with, end up blocking the flow of life itself. Dear friend, the kitchen is not just a physical place. It is the center of prosperity in your home. Leaving dirty dishes or food scraps overnight sends a clear message to the universe that you don't value what you've already received, and the energy that isn't valued doesn't return. Turning kitchen cleaning into a ritual is a way to honor what you have. By washing the dishes with awareness, you thank the food that nourished your body and the abundance that arrived at your table. It's not just about removing grease or leftovers, it's about closing cycles and preparing the ground for new blessings. Think about it. What if every night when you clean the stove or wash a cup you express gratitude? What if you turn that moment into a silent act of thanks, a thank you for what you have and for what is yet to come? In that small act, the energy of abundance will find its way back to you again and again. I invite you tonight, before going to bed, to clean your kitchen with intention. Don't see it as an obligation, see it as an act of closure. By doing this, you will be telling the universe, "I am ready to receive more," and this will open the doors for prosperity to flow uninterrupted into your life. Remember, each clean dish is a new opportunity, and every cleared corner is a space ready to be filled with blessings. Mistake #3, keeping broken or useless objects. Attachment to the broken is a reflection of our resistance to change. At its core, clinging to objects that no longer serve us is like trying to catch water with our hands. No matter how hard we try, it slips away. If we don't release what no longer serves us, there will be no space for the new. Let me share a story that deeply illustrates this truth. In a small town there was a woman named Maria, who always kept an old lantern in her home. This lantern had been a gift from her mother, and although it once shone with a warm and welcoming light, it was now broken, covered in dust, and barely functional. Every time Maria looked at the lantern, she felt a mixture of nostalgia and sadness. "It's a memory," she thought. "I can't get rid of it." However, as the years passed, the lantern didn't just deteriorate physically, it began to affect the atmosphere of her home. Maria noticed that arguments with her husband were increasing, and the joy that once filled their house was fading. The light that had been in her life slowly dimmed, just like the lantern she kept. One day, an old friend of Maria's, a wise man who had travelled to many lands, came to visit her. As they walked through the house, he stopped in front of the old lantern and asked, "Why are you keeping something that no longer works?" Maria, surprised, responded, "It's a memory from my mother. I can't let it go." The friend smiled and said, "Memories don't stay in objects. They live in you. If you don't let go of what no longer serves you, you'll be filling your life with what doesn't allow you to move forward." Maria reflected on his words, and as night fell, she sat in her living room. She looked at the lantern and felt a deep sadness. With each memory that came to her mind, she understood that holding on to the broken object was only preventing new light from entering her life. She decided it was time to let go. The next day, Maria took the lantern to the yard and broke it into pieces. In that instant, she felt as though a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. She bid farewell to the old, expressing gratitude for the memories, but knowing it was time to make space for the new. Soon after, the energy in her home began to change. The arguments decreased, and joy started to return. With each small change she made, like letting go of other useless objects, light filled her home again. Friendships flourished, laughter returned, and what had once been a dark and tense place transformed into a home filled with love and abundance. Dear friend, the act of letting go of the broken or useless is not just a cleaning task, it's an act of love toward yourself. It's an invitation to open space in your life for the new. Every object you release can be a step forward, a liberation from what no longer serves you, and an opportunity for abundance and joy to return to you. So today I invite you to look around your home. Are there objects you've kept for too long? Those that remind you of difficult times or no longer have a purpose? Ask yourself if you really want to keep carrying them. When you decide to let them go, remember that you're making sacred space for the new, for what truly matters. Everything you release is an act of faith that the best is yet to come, and with each step you take, you will be allowing light to enter your life once again. Remember, my friend, in every object you let go of, there is a new beginning waiting for you. Life is constantly changing, and so should you. Mistake #4. Not ventilating the spaces daily. A home without fresh air is a home where energy stagnates. Air represents life and renewal. It is like the breath that gives vigor to our being. If we don't allow fresh breezes to flow through our spaces, we are unknowingly creating a heavy, dull environment where opportunities feel trapped. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this essential truth. In a small village, there was an ancient temple known for its beauty and serene atmosphere. This sacred place was visited by many people seeking peace and clarity. However, over time, the temple began to fall into neglect. Its doors remained closed and the windows were covered with dust and cobwebs. The energy that once flowed freely had become dense and heavy. Devotees began to notice that they no longer felt as inspired when entering. One day, an elderly monk arrived at the temple. Upon opening the door, a cloud of dust rose, and he stopped to breathe deeply. In that instant, he realized the stagnation that reigned in the place. With a heavy heart, he decided to act. "This temple needs fresh air," he murmured to himself. "Without it, it will never be a place of peace again." The monk opened all the windows and doors, allowing the breeze to enter. The fresh air danced through the temple, moving the curtains like waves. Slowly the dust began to dissipate, and with it, the heaviness that had been trapped for so long. As the wind blew, the monk sat in meditation, feeling how the renewing air revitalized his being. The flowers in the garden began to perfume the atmosphere, and the birds, drawn by the fresh air, returned to sing. The energy in the temple transformed. What had once been a dark place was now filled with light and vitality. Soon after, the devotees returned, drawn by the renewed energy of the temple. They too felt different, happier, clearer. With each visit, the community grew, and the temple flourished like never before. The abundance of love, peace, and gratitude filled every corner. Just as the temple needed fresh air to be reborn, our homes also require the same attention. Every time you close the windows and doors, you are blocking not just the breeze, but life itself. In our culture, fresh air is a symbol of good fortune. Ventilating daily not only purifies the space, but also allows new opportunities to flow toward us. It is a reminder that we are alive and in constant renewal. I invite you to open the windows of your home every morning before starting your activities. Allow the sunlight to enter and let the fresh air renew the energy in your space. With each breath, feel how you are filled with life and visualize how this energy expands around you, attracting good fortune and abundance. Every small action counts, and by ventilating your spaces, you invite prosperity to enter. Imagine that each ray of sunlight and each gentle breeze are messengers of opportunities coming to you. Just as the monk revived the temple, you too can revive the energy of your home, transforming it into a place where life flows freely. Remember, dear friend, that air is life. Don't underestimate the power of a simple daily ventilation. It is the breath of renewal that we all need to flourish. Mistake #5. Storing things under the bed. Keeping objects under the bed not only clutters the physical space, but also your mind and spirit. The bed is a sacred place. It is where we rest, where our bodies regenerate, and where our minds find peace. If that space is filled with unnecessary things, It's like carrying an invisible backpack while you sleep. And believe me, interrupted rest can lead you down paths where fatigue drains your energy, and low energy also affects your finances and opportunities. Let me share a story that embodies this teaching. Once upon a time, there was a young merchant who dreamed of thriving in his business. He worked long hours trying to improve his fortune, but things were getting worse. Despite his efforts, opportunities seemed to slip away, and his spirits were sinking deeper each day. Exhausted, he decided to visit an elderly monk known in his village for his wisdom and advice. Upon arriving at the monastery, the young man confessed, "I've worked non-stop, but nothing improves. I feel more tired than ever, and my business is getting worse. What am I doing wrong, master?" The elderly monk smiled kindly and asked an unexpected question. "Tell me, what do you keep under your bed?" The young man frowned, surprised by the oddity of the question. "Just some old boxes, things I don't use anymore, but I don't know where else to put them." The monk nodded and responded gently. "Your bed is where your body regenerates. If you fill that space with things that no longer serve you, there will be no room for true rest. And without rest, you cannot attract clarity or abundance. How do you expect something new to come into your life if you cling to the old even while you sleep?" Intrigued by the monk's words, the young man returned home and decided to take everything out from under his bed. As he did, he felt something inside him also being released. He disposed of the boxes, gave away what he no longer needed, and carefully cleaned the space. That night, he slept as he hadn't in a long time. The next morning he woke up feeling light, as if he had left more behind than just boxes. From that day forward his mind was clearer, and his energy flowed again. Soon after, new opportunities appeared, and his business began to prosper. This story teaches us that the clutter under the bed symbolizes more than just forgotten things. It represents the emotional burdens and attachments to the past that we carry without realizing it. Every useless object we store there is a distraction, an invisible obstacle that stands between us and deep rest. And when we don't rest well, our decisions lose clarity, our relationships suffer, and opportunities seem to slip away. Clearing that space is both a symbolic and real act of letting go of what we no longer need. It is a reminder that rest is an investment in our life energy. By emptying it, we create space for peace, renewal, and with that, we allow abundance to find its way to us. So today I invite you to look under your bed. What have you accumulated there? Perhaps it's time to let it go. Clear that space and turn it into a sanctuary for your rest. When you release the old, you will see how the new arrives effortlessly. Remember, sleeping well is the first step toward living well. Mistake #6. Allowing the accumulation of trash. In Buddhist teachings, accumulation is like a stagnant river. If the water doesn't flow, it becomes stagnant and polluted. The same happens in our lives when we allow trash to accumulate, both physically and emotionally. The negative stays. It's not just dirt that piles up. It's also heavy energy that blocks the good from reaching us. Let me share a simple story that illustrates this truth. Many years ago, in a monastery hidden among the mountains, there lived a young monk who had the task of keeping the place clean. Every day, he would pick up leaves, food scraps, and everything that no longer served its purpose. However, on a rainy day, he left a bag of trash in a corner of the courtyard and thought, "Just for today, I'll take it out tomorrow." The next day, he got busy with other tasks and the bag was forgotten. Days went by and no one else paid attention to the trash. The bag broke and its contents began to spread across the ground. Slowly, flies appeared and a foul smell began to invade the place. One day, the master of the monastery noticed the mess and called the young monk. With serenity, he asked, "Why did you leave the trash there?" The young man, feeling embarrassed, replied, "I thought it wouldn't matter if I left it for just one day." The master smiled slightly and said, "What we don't resolve today becomes a weight we carry tomorrow. The trash we leave, both outside and inside of us, always finds a way to spread. The young monk then understood that it wasn't just about cleaning the courtyard, but also about learning to clear his mind and heart. He hurried to collect the trash, and with each object he threw away, he felt something inside of him lighten. From that day on, he no longer let either physical or emotional trash accumulate in his life. This story shows us that trash is not only what we throw in the bin, it's also everything we leave pending, grudges we don't release, unnecessary worries, and things that no longer belong in our lives. When we allow it to accumulate, we take up space that could be devoted to joy, peace, and new opportunities. It's easy to think, I'll do it tomorrow, but every day we delay, the burden becomes heavier. And we're not just talking about unpleasant smells or flies buzzing around. We're talking about a stagnant energy that affects how life flows around us. So today I invite you to look around you. Where has the trash accumulated in your life? Perhaps in that corner of the kitchen, or that worry you've been postponing for days. Clear your space and you'll see, just like the young monk, how something inside of you feels lighter. When you clear the old, you make space for the new. Remember, the trash we leave unattended today becomes the weight we carry tomorrow. So don't wait any longer. Clear your surroundings, clean your heart, and you'll see how life starts flowing again. Error number 7, neglecting the entrance door. The entrance door is much more than just an access to your home. In Buddhist teachings, it symbolizes a portal between who you are and what you can become. Every time we cross that door, we are connecting our personal space with the outside universe, and like any sacred portal, it needs care. When the door is dirty, mistreated, or blocked, it not only makes physical entry difficult, but also hinders new opportunities from entering. It's as if, without realizing it, we are closing the door to prosperity. A long time ago, in a small village, there lived a merchant named Aruto. He was an honest man, but lately things hadn't been going well. Customers had stopped visiting his store, and no matter how hard he tried, good fortune seemed to evade him. One day, as he walked downcast, he crossed paths with a travelling monk. The monk, sensing his sadness, asked, "What worries you, my friend?" Aruto sighed and said, "I've worked hard, but fortune no longer smiles on me. My shop is empty and my business is wilting." The monk smiled kindly and asked, "Could you show me the door to your shop?" Aruto took him there, and the monk observed carefully. The door was covered in dust, with a broken hinge that squeaked every time someone opened it. There were also boxes stacked near the entrance, blocking the way. The monk gently touched the dusty wood and said, "Your door is as tired as you. How do you expect new opportunities to enter when the path isn't even clear for them?" Aruto stood in silence, surprised by the wisdom of those words. The next day he thoroughly cleaned the door, repaired the hinges, and removed the boxes that were blocking the entrance. As he did, he felt as though an invisible burden was lifted from his heart. And something curious happened. Not only did customers begin to come back, but he also received an offer to expand his business to a neighbouring city. The door, now cleared and cared for, had become a portal to new opportunities. You see, sometimes it's not the lack of effort that blocks our prosperity, but those small details we overlook. The door to your home is not just a piece of wood. It is the first impression you give to the world and the path through which opportunities come into your life. If it's dirty, neglected, or blocked, it's like sending a message to the universe saying, "There's no room for new things here." But when you care for that entrance, it's like opening a channel of communication with the universe, inviting it to bring you abundance, joy, and new possibilities. Today I invite you to stop for a moment and look at the door to your house. Is it clean? Is it clear? When was the last time you gave it your attention? Don't underestimate the power of these small acts. Clean that door, water the plants nearby if you have any, and let the energy flow freely. By doing so, you are making it clear that you're ready to receive all the good life has in store for you. Remember, the door to your home reflects your readiness to welcome the new. If you keep it open, clean and clear, you'll see how opportunities come without you even calling them. Take care of this entrance because it is also the door to a life full of prosperity and renewal. Error number 8. Excessive use of chemical products. Positive energies need to flow naturally, like the wind that caresses the leaves of a tree. However, when we fill our homes with chemical products, we create an artificial environment that prevents that energy from circulating freely. Excessive chemicals not only damage our physical health, but also our spiritual health, creating a dense and heavy atmosphere, as if an invisible layer were covering everything around us. Many years ago, in a temple nestled between mountains, lived a young monk named Tenzin. As part of his daily duties, he was in charge of the small garden of the temple, where the masters planted flowers to symbolize harmony and connection with nature. Tenzin wanted to impress his master, and in his desire to have the most beautiful garden, he began spraying the plants with chemical fertilizers and pesticides every day. During the first few weeks, the flowers seemed more alive than ever, but soon they began to wither without any apparent explanation. Worried, Tenzin went to his master. "Master, I've done everything I could to care for the garden, but the flowers are dying," he said sadly. The elderly master observed the plants and calmly said, "In your desire for perfection, you forgot the most important thing. Nature doesn't need to be forced to bloom. When we give it too many chemicals, we kill its essence and prevent it from growing on its own. Natural energy cannot be replaced by artificial products." The master asked him to stop using chemicals and taught him to nurture the soil with natural compost, pure water, and patience. Over time, the flowers bloomed again, this time with a genuine beauty, reflecting a natural balance. The same thing happens in your home. Every time you abuse chemical products, you create an invisible barrier that prevents energy from flowing harmoniously. Cleaning should not become a battle against dirt, but a conscious act of care and renewal. When you choose more natural methods like vinegar, baking soda, or essential oils, you allow the energy of your home to remain light and alive, like the flowers in Tenzin's garden. Has it ever happened to you that after cleaning with many chemicals, the environment feels heavy, almost suffocating? That's no coincidence. Excessive chemicals leave an invisible trace that affects not only the air, but also your personal energy. By adopting more natural practices, you're not only caring for your house, but also your well-being. Today, I want to invite you to review the products you use in your home. Do you really need so many? Why not try a more natural, more conscious approach? A little lemon water for the windows, baking soda for stains, and above all, opening the windows to let in fresh air. You'll see how, by doing this, you not only clean the surface but also the soul of your home. Remember, cleaning is more than a physical act. It's a way to align your environment with the energy you want to attract into your life. If you choose natural methods, you will allow the positive to flow toward you without obstacles, just like the flowers in Tenzin's garden. When we stop forcing and allow nature to do its work, everything blooms in harmony. Will you dare to leave the chemicals behind and give your home a natural breath? I'm sure both your energy and the energy of your home will thank you. Error number 9. Not cleaning the mirrors. Mirrors are not just objects to see our physical reflection. In spiritual teachings, they represent much more. They reflect the state of our mind, our soul, and the energies around us. A clean mirror brings clarity, while a dirty one is like a fog that clouds not only our image but also our path. If we allow dust and stains to accumulate on them, confusion seeps into our lives, attracting adverse situations. A long time ago, in a small village at the foot of a mountain, lived a young man named Sito, who had inherited an old house from his grandparents. Among the objects he found was a large antique mirror with a carved wooden frame and golden details. The mirror had been in the family for generations, but over time it had been forgotten in a corner, covered in dust and stains. Sito barely paid attention to the mirror. His life at that time was full of problems, his relationships were complicated, his business wasn't prospering, and he felt that each day became harder to move forward. One afternoon, tired and frustrated, he went to see the wise man of the village, an elderly monk who lived in a small temple. "Master, I don't understand what's happening. My life feels stuck, and nothing seems to improve," confessed Sito. The elderly man listened to him in silence and after a pause asked, "How clear is your reflection in the mirror of your home?" Sito was surprised by the question. "I don't know, Master. I haven't looked in that mirror for a long time. It's covered in dust." The monk nodded with a slight smile and said, "When a mirror is dirty, what do you see? A distorted version of yourself, and the same happens with your life. If the reflection is cloudy, your path won't be clear either. Go home, clean that mirror carefully, and look at yourself in it with attention, then come back and see me." That same night, Sito returned home and approached the old mirror. He cleaned it meticulously, removing every stain and speck of dust until the glass was flawless. When he looked at himself in the mirror for the first time in a long time, he saw his reflection with clarity. In that moment he understood that he had been ignoring not only the mirror, but also the important aspects of his life. He decided to reorganize his home, his thoughts, and his priorities. The next day he returned to the temple with a smile. "Master," he said, "I cleaned the mirror, and it's as if I also cleaned my mind. Everything seems clearer now." The elderly monk nodded and replied, "Remember always, Sito, the state of your environment reflects the state of your being. When you clean the outside, you also clean the inside, and a clear reflection will always attract clear opportunities." Do you realize that when we allow the mirrors in our home to get dirty, it's as if we're accepting a blurry version of ourselves and our lives? Keeping mirrors clean is a daily reminder of the importance of inner clarity. It's not just about removing stains, but clearing doubts and confusion from your mind. Today, I want to invite you to do something very simple. Look for all the mirrors in your home and clean them carefully. As you do so, reflect on which aspects of your life might need more clarity. Once you're done, look at yourself in that mirror, just as Sito did, with the intention of seeing yourself as you are, without distortions. You'll see how this small action can make a big difference. Remember, mirrors are portals. They don't just reflect what is in front of them, but also the energy you carry inside. If they are dirty, they not only block your image, but also the flow of good opportunities in your life. Always keep your mirrors clean and let them reflect the best version of you, so that clarity and fortune can find their way to you. And what do you see when you look at yourself in your mirrors? Perhaps today is the perfect time to clean them and discover all they have been waiting to show you. Error number 10. Having dry or poorly cared for plants. Plants don't just decorate our homes, they are a reflection of our inner life. Every leaf that grows is like a positive thought. Every flower that blooms represents an opportunity. But when plants wither, if we don't let them die, we're sending a clear message to the universe that we're not taking care of what matters, nor are we rooted in abundance. Dry plants symbolize stagnation, both personally and materially, and spiritually. Stagnation is a dangerous shadow. In a monastery there was a young apprentice named Ren, who had been given a very special task by his master to take care of a small bonsai. The master explained that the tree represented his own inner growth, and that its care would be part of his spiritual formation. "What happens to this bonsai will be a reflection of what happens to your soul," the master said with an enigmatic smile. At first Ren took care of the tree enthusiastically. He watered it every morning, spoke to it, and always placed it in a sunny corner. But as the days passed and the tasks at the monastery increased, he began to neglect it. One day he forgot to water it. Another day he left it in a shady corner until the leaves began to dry up and the buds withered. Ren, overwhelmed by other responsibilities, thought, "It's just a tree, I can fix it later." But days turned into weeks and the little bonsai eventually died. When the master called him, Ren felt ashamed. "Master, I'm sorry, I was so busy I didn't notice what was happening to the bonsai in time." The master nodded quietly and then said, "Ren, it's not just a tree you lost, it's an opportunity for growth. Just as you let this bonsai wither, you allowed negligence to take root in your life. What you fail to nurture wilts, and what wilts cannot bloom." The young man lowered his head, feeling the weight of the master's words. But then the wise man placed a hand on his shoulder and added, "Failure is part of the journey. It's never too late to learn and start anew. Now that you understand, what will you do with this lesson?" Just as Ren learned that neglect leads to loss, our plants teach us the same lesson in everyday life. When we allow them to dry up, it's as if we're also neglecting our own ability to grow. Plants connect us to the earth's energy. They remind us that there is always time to bloom, but only if we commit to daily care. Take a moment to check the plants in your home. Do they have dry leaves, or have you stopped watering them? If so, it's not just about gardening. It's a sign that something inside you also needs attention and care. Maybe it's a forgotten project, a relationship that needs more nurturing, or even your personal well-being. Reviving a plant is like reviving a part of yourself that you've neglected. I invite you to check every plant in your home. If any are dry or neglected, give them a second chance. Water them, clean their leaves, move them to a brighter spot. If they can't be saved, say goodbye to them with gratitude and learn from the experience. Just like Ren with his bonsai, we can always replant something new. It's always possible to start over. Plants are symbols of life, renewal, and abundance. When you care for them, energy flows through your home like a fresh breeze in spring. But if you let them die, stagnation and heaviness will settle in. Prosperity needs space to grow, and that starts by nurturing the small roots in front of you. So which plant in your home needs a little more love today? By giving it water and light, you might also find a way to nourish something inside you. Now that you know these mistakes, you're just one step away from transforming your home into a magnet for good luck and prosperity. As Buddhist teachings remind us, when we bring order to our physical space, we also bring order to our inner world, opening the door to new blessings. If this video has been helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and teachings that will transform your life. Share this video with your friends and loved ones, and we'll see you in the next one. Until next time, dear friends, I'm Dear.